What are SQL triggers? SQL triggers are programs which are automatically executed or fired when a certain event occurs. They can be written to respond to database manipulation statements or definition statements. They are primarily used for maintaining referential integrity to avoid performing invalid transaction in a database. This link outlines how to define, create and what to do when a trigger occurs. It gives a clear insight to the role that SQL triggers play in the retrieval of data with the added benefit of code snippets. This helps to get an idea of how to structure the queries. They also provide abstract pseudocode to help formalize the idea of triggers rather than just giving the code and explaining it. There includes criteria for putting databases into different normal forms and explaining the differences between them. This is useful with triggers as it ensures that the database does not contain any anomalies and allows for a clean flow of data. There are also cheat sheets that describe useful functions that provide operations on any of the data items within the database. The site contains good documentation style syntax of how to create triggers using Oracle's PL/SQL procedural extension for SQL. The tutorial on creating triggers is especially useful as it breaks down the parts of the statement. It also provides a detailed description of what each line does and why it does it. The site also gives some insight into the benefits of using triggers which were helpful for understanding their function and utility. This link describes what a trigger is, when triggers can be used, and gives many examples of usage, including a real-world example. The site explains that triggers should only be used as a result of an insert, update or delete. It also mentions the special tables inserted and deleted and how triggers make use of them. The link also describes how triggers only fire once for each statement and provides examples to solidify the point. The real-world example keeps track of traffic by updating a log every time a website page is visited. There is also a link to a part 2 on the page, which goes into further detail about triggers. As SQL is a querying language, many extensions have been developed for it to allow for procedural programming techniques. Examples of these extensions include Oracle's PL/SQL, IBM's SQL-PL and Microsoft's TSQL, the most popular of these being PL/SQL. While there may be different syntactic sugar between them, these languages all allow for execution of SQL statements as whole blocks of code which are used to write entire functions and programs using SQL statements as opposed to single-line queries. This link outlines all the benefits of programming using a language such as Oracle's PL/SQL language, which directly embraces SQL statements within its syntax. At runtime, both PL/SQL and SQL run within the same server process, bringing optimal efficiency and speed. Also, PL/SQL automatically inherits advantages of the Oracle database system, such as security and portability. Through this page you can access many Oracle-built tutorials on subjects such as building and managing PL/SQL program units, and PL/SQL data types. This makes it even more useful for learning to program with SQL. This tutorial outlines the use of variables within PL/SQL. It provides rules required to create variables and all the naming conventions to add type constraints. There is also code snippets of how to initialize these variables and incorporate them into the query. It also highlights the key SQL terms used, which is useful for reference purposes. Variable anchors are also introduced here. Variable anchors refer to the use of the %type keyword to declare a variable with the data type that is associated with the data type of a particular column in a table. The website provides a good overview of the differences between pure SQL and PL/SQL and the specific features PL/SQL provides. Many advantages of PL/SQL are noted, such as extensive exception handling and error checking. There are also useful introductory tutorials on initializing variables, writing comments and handling I/O. The website also features links to examples of code written in PL/SQL, such as finding a palindrome, getting the sum and average of numbers, etc.